The left likes to think, oh, well, Judicial Watch, you're only doing this to help Republicans. No, we're doing this to enforce the law. So we go into Republican red states, Democrat blue states to enforce the rule of law on election integrity. As I've explained to you before, and as you may know, Judicial Watch is the national leader in using the National Voter Registration Act to require states and localities to clean up the voter rolls. We've done it in California to the tune of 1.2 million names, New York City, nearly 450,000 names, here in Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Kentucky, Colorado. We have a lawsuit in California ongoing, a lawsuit in Illinois ongoing, a lawsuit in Oregon ongoing. So the states are supposed to be cleaning up the rolls in a regular way, and they're not doing it. And it's not a high bar. They just have to take basic steps. And Judicial Watch's litigation has led to the removal, just in the last 2 years or so, of 4 million plus names from the voter rolls. Dirty names that shouldn't have been there, should have been removed, were only removed as a result of Judicial Watch's litigation and other legal action. And another aspect of our work is being sure that the law is followed with respect to gaining access to the voter registration list. That means when we ask for the list and to find out what the states have been doing or localities have been doing in terms of maintaining the files to make sure they're taking out old names, people who die, people who move away, other ineligible names, that we're not denied. And what happens is certain states have passed laws to make it difficult to gain access to this information. And we've fought back and won in various states, such as Illinois and Maryland. Well, the problem in Utah is they still have a law in the books, Utah state law, make it difficult to gain access to records or even use them to get election integrity measures in place, such as cleaning up the rolls. And we sent a notice letter to the state of Utah saying this law is outside the four corners or what is allowed under the federal law, the National Voter Registration Act, because your voting lists are nearly impossible to get to for the reasons that I've highlighted here. Not only that, in Utah, they allow voters to keep their names off the voter registration list for alleged privacy issues. So we don't even know who's registered to vote in large measure as a result of that rule. And so Judicial Watch sent what is called a notice of violation letter under the National Voter Registration Act, pursuant to the rules that allow us to gain access to this information. And we asked Utah, take a look at your law. It's not appropriate under federal law. And if you don't fix it or take steps to resolve this issue, we can sue in 90 days. And we don't make idle threats. I mean, this is what we do under law to initiate the lawsuits I talked about already that have broken through the stone walls to gain access to voter registration data, and to not only that, clean up the voter registration list. Judicial Watch explains in our letter that the National Voter Registration Act was intended both to increase the number of eligible citizens who register and to protect the integrity of the electoral process and ensure that accurate and current voter registration rolls are maintained. It requires states to maintain for at least 2 years and make available for public inspection all records concerning the implementation of programs conducted for ensuring the accuracy of voting rolls. So our expert lawyers, we've got expert election law lawyers, the top in the nation, looked at Utah's registration law and found that it fails to ensure compliance with the federal record maintenance and public disclosure requirements and limits the public's ability to conduct reasonable election integrity analysis. This absence of necessary provisions in Utah's voter registration law directly contravenes the federal mandate under NVRA, we warned Utah in our letter. And here's the letter. We can pop the letter up on screen. You can't see it from here, but you can see it. There it is. So it was dated March 3rd. So they got 3 months from March 3rd to get their act together. In July of 2022, we settled a federal election integrity lawsuit against Illinois, requiring it to grant access to its centralized statewide list of registered voters. State officials had refused to allow the nonprofit Illinois Conservative Union and 3 lawfully registered Illinois voters to obtain a copy of the state's voter registration list, and despite their lawful request for those records under federal law. And so, in essence, we won. We settled and got the access to the list. I think, if I recall correctly, in Illinois, they said, well, you can look at the list, but you have to go down to a computer terminal in Springfield. I'm going on memory here, but I'm close enough for government work. But you had to come down, you could look at each registration one at a time, which obviously is absurd if you're trying to figure out whether the lists are being maintained accurately and properly under federal law. In short, Utah law makes it impossible and even illegal to use voter registration lists to monitor for fraud and accuracy. This is at odds with federal law and undermines election integrity. Now, Utah is a Republican state, right? The left likes to think, oh, well, Judicial Watch, you're only doing this to help Republicans. No, we're doing this to enforce the law. So we go into Republican red states, Democrat blue states to enforce the rule of law on election integrity. And Utah is making it more difficult because of their law to ensure that the lists are being cleaned and as the law requires, which obviously mitigates against election fraud. I mean, the temptation to steal elections isn't just for Democrats. Hate to tell you this. Republicans sometimes steal elections too. There was an infamous case in North Carolina where a Republican consultant essentially messed with the election process in such a way a judge had actually ordered a new election. In April 2020, this is the Judicial Watch's big Maryland victory, a federal court noted and gave credit to Judicial Watch. We have the resources and expertise that few individuals can marshal. By excluding these organizations from access to voter registration lists, the purpose of the federal law is undermined. The court ordered Maryland to produce complete voter registration records as requested to Judicial Watch. So this is an important election integrity measure. I hope the Justice Department gets on the ball with this. I don't think Harmeet Dillon, who is the appointee for President Trump to run the Civil Rights Division that would be running election integrity, or a key place to have election integrity lawsuits run out of, I don't think she's been confirmed yet. She had her hearing a few weeks ago, and she was attacked over Judicial Watch's election integrity work, ironically, during that Senate hearing. But Harmeet is a great pick to run the Civil Rights Division because she's truly committed to civil rights in a way the left isn't. And I know she's an election integrity expert and understands the rule of law is key to ensuring the American people have confidence in elections. So we're hoping that she comes on board and starts doing more election integrity work through the Justice Department because they've got the ability to do work that we can't do. But in the meantime, we'll do the heavy lifting, right? Like we're doing in Utah, like we aim to do in Oregon and California and Illinois. And we have another big lawsuit coming as it relates to the counting of ballots that arrive after Election Day. We've got a lawsuit in Illinois about that. In Mississippi, our lawsuit there led to a Fifth Circuit ruling that counting ballots after Election Day is contrary to federal law, which sets an election day, not an election week. So there's another state we're going to sue over that within a few days. So when it comes to election integrity, Judicial Watch takes a backseat to no one on behalf of the American people who want elections to be as clean and honest under law as possible.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.